So I thought tonight we would talk about some cool stuff. We're gonna get really into all the juicy stuff. We thought we'd talk about MKUltra and conspiracies. We'll talk about the Mandela effect. We'll talk about flat Earth. We'll talk about reptilians, and we'll talk about all that stuff that's kind of fun to think about and a little bit scary to think about, and stuff that makes the dream really bizarro, right? And then realize to get behind the observer in all of it, and to observe these crazy stories and conspiracies through the eyes of the observer, the one who is always present. And it has a completely different meaning, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it, so stick around for 1 second, all right? I've got Space going live on the Phi Tribe channel, which, by the way, just hit 200,000 subscribers this weekend, which is, what can I say? I'm manifesting reality here. It's pretty awesome. So it goes to show you that this stuff really works. And so that's really been a dream come true, and I'm debuting some brand new music over there as we speak. But I am running 2 channels here now. So this is my side channel, and this is where we talk about all the stuff that makes all that music so effective, and get into the fineness of not only music and frequency and vibration, but get into the 5 principles as a principle of life. So yeah, it seems that you guys really like it when I talk about all the creepy, weird stuff. So I thought I would get into some of that stuff tonight. And you know, it's really interesting. I get so many comments about flat Earth and about you know, that I'm not seeing the conspiracy or whatever, because I call things Psyop. Listen. If you get to know me and you get to know this channel, you're going to realize that I'm taking this crazy rabbit hole way further than flat Earth. I'm a no-earther. None of it's real. It's all psyops, all the way down, including the biggest psyop of all, which is time. Time is the biggest psyop. How about them apples, huh? This all started us having a conversation with the engineer here, Mike, and we were talking about this, talking about MKUltra, talking about, you know, where all this is going, and, you know, the mark of the beast, and we're getting to the deep conversations about AI. And we came to, you know, the conclusion that the MKUltra is not something that's happening to a select few. MKUltra is a mind control program that is working on everybody. We're all under the spell. And it's not just like a new psychological spell. It's not a new psychological operation. It's to realize that the psyop has always been. It's always been here. Sorry, my dog is in the camera. Boy, this is like train wreck show tonight. It's a conspiracy. They're trying to make it bad. No, yeah, so we were just talking about how the psyop really goes back forever. I mean, it can go back as far as you want to take it. It's Roman times, we give them bread and circus. All of it is distraction. All of it is distraction from looking at the obvious, which is where the power is in this world. And where we think the power is, and realizing where the power really is. And that's what the distraction is. No one wants us to see the power inside ourselves. So we're distracted from that. Everything that we're distracted with is to make us feel small, make us feel as though we don't have the power. Because if we rose up, it'd be over. The game would be over, right? So are you guys familiar with what I'm talking about when we talk about MKUltra and the Mandela effect and mind control in general? Stranger Things, if you guys have seen Stranger Things, right? So these are the top conspiracies, I guess, of today. And these are not conspiracies anymore. These were used to be conspiracies, but now they've been proven to be 100% real. MKUltra is not a classified document anymore. We know that they have done all kinds of mind control programs, not only on just innocent people, but they've done it to the masses as well. And the CIA has admitted this, and we know that's happening, but nobody really does anything about it. So MKUltra is a process of breaking down the psyche, and breaking it down in such a way that you lose touch with what is real in the world. You don't know that you can trust any of your institutions anymore. And when you lose your institutions, you're in this place of just vulnerability, I should say, where you can be guided. However, the system wants to guide you. And all of it is distraction to keep us away from the truth. They want us fighting with each other. They want us fighting with ourselves. They want us fighting with family. They want us fighting with race. They want us fighting with other countries. But really, the truth of it is, it's one puppet master. There's only one puppet master. It's not 13 families. It's one. It's one puppet master. And that puppet master is the adversary. And that adversary is the being that whispers into the eyes and ears of the innocent men and women who run the world. And it whispers into your ear. And it's that temptation, which we're going to get into in a little bit. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But first, I want to reel it back before we get too deep into all of this craziness here. Let's just reel it back to non-dualism, and let's just take a deep breath, clear our mind for a moment, and let's realize where we are. Let's become the observer and take a step back from all the things that we think are real and recognize reality as a dream. Okay? So realize that that's where I'm coming from when I talk about these things. The dream isn't real. The dream is real and not real, right? We talk about this all the time on the show. Opposite things can be true at the same time, right? That can be square, that square can be true, and also the circle can be true. Two things are true at the same time. So in that sense, the dream is real. It's real when you're in it. And it is also real when you're not in the dream and you're identified with the source, the observer who is always watching. Okay? And realize that both things are very, very true. One, when you take the step back to identify with the observer, a way of saying that is you're identifying with God. You're identifying with the identity of the Father. Okay? And when we decide to immerse ourselves into the dream and play along and play our part, we are identified with the Son, right? As the scripture would teach us, right? And both are very, very real. It's not that you sit here and go, well, nothing's real, because the son who's experiencing the dream is going, what the hell? It's very real. This is hurting. This is bad, right? So it's very, very real. But when you can have the realization of the Father and you can recognize what it is, there's something that happens in the dream where a couple of different things. A, it has to work a lot harder to get your attention because you just don't pay much attention to it anymore. Even when scary things happen, you just know Source is going to take care of it. And you just allow it to be taken care of, and it does. So what happens is the dream has to work much harder to steal your attention. And that's what this is all about. Everything is about stealing your attention. Attention is the oil. That's the true wealth of this dream, your attention. And it's always been that way. It's always been that way because that's where the power is. The power lies in the observer. So the CIA runs the divisions of all the psychological operations, as they say. And like I said, the Psyops have been happening for thousands of years. This is how we've been controlled in the dream, okay? For eons, this is how we're controlled, through the psychological operations. Now, what's happening is the reason we're just noticing it now is because they're getting very, very good at it. They're getting even better at it. And they're taking braver and braver steps. And you can say, well, where is all this leading? And what's the point of all this? The leading is leading us to a world of complete and absolute tyranny. That's the goal of the adversary, right? The adversary is the one who wants to be God, right? And wants total control. So imagine that life in the dream is like a game. It's no different than Monopoly, right? We're playing this game. It's just very, very real, like a video game, I guess. And the adversary is seeking total control of everything. And it does this through psychological operations by getting you to doubt your assessment of what the world is. And when you lose that foundation, it's hoping it can ensnare you into its claws. Now, what this show does is we're gonna shake that foundation, but in shaking the foundation, we're not going to let you fall. We're going to catch you and show you that You don't have to go into a complete nihilist fit. You can realize that there's immense power in losing all of this foundation to our world. Immense power. Provided the adversary doesn't snag you during this process, which is why the adversary has taken over the New Age scene. The whole New Age scene's been captured, all of it, which is why you have to do your own research. You really have to learn these things yourself. You don't even have to listen to me. If I resonate with you, great, but you should also be doing your own study. You should be doing your own meditation. You should be doing your own inquiry. You should be listening to lots of teachers and spiritual esoteric teachers. And when you listen to all these different messages, you don't know what's going to click with you, and you have to take all the things that resonate with you and toss out the things that don't resonate with you. And I'm confident you're going to realize, if you listen to enough messages and get the entire picture, you're going to come to the same realization that I did, which is all of it is fake. None of it's real. It's all here to just distract us, grab our attention. So we say, well, why is this happening? Why is all this? Why is the world this way? What is happening? Why is everything falling crazy right now? Why does it seem like we're on the edge of World War III, and then Mandela effect, and I don't know what reality I'm anymore, and we've got simulation theory going on, and we've got AI on the horizon, and the economy is all weird, right? It's very, very, very scary. And this is part of waking up. This is part of the waking up process. So as we awaken, we activate our chakra systems. We have 7 main chakra systems. And as we awaken, we first awaken the root chakra. And when we awaken the root chakra, we're for the first time recognizing that we have this, that our entire identity rests on security, basically. Security and sex are the 2 things the root chakra are powered off of. And this is the source of our foundation and the source of our energy. It comes through this root chakra. And just in realizing that you've been captured by these 2 powers in you, you can transcend them. So when you work with the root chakra and recognize that you've got these addictions to aspects of culture that are not necessarily serving you, you can learn to let go of them. And I'm sorry if I'm rushing through this, because we got a lot of stuff I want to cover. And there's more detailed episodes on chakra systems. I've done a ton of them, so just check out my channel. So and then we move from the root chakra into the sacral chakra. And in the sacral, we're mostly dealing with sovereignty, personal sovereignty, and our own sense of I amness. We're realizing that we are a separate being altogether from culture. That's where the first time we're getting in touch with the observer, not the being that calls himself Ford or Jack or Steve or Susie, but the person looking in the mirror and realizing that I'm not the person in the mirror, but I'm the observer behind the mask, so to speak. And this is where the sacral comes into play. And as we rise in the chakra systems, there's going to be a refinement of that identity. It's going to be a refinement of identification with the observer behind the mask and not being the mask anymore. And that's going to take us into the solar plexus. And this is when it gets really, really interesting. And this is where we find ourselves now, in the sense of a global awakening, if we want to call like how we each are experiencing this personal awakening. This is going to be reflected, right? As above, I'm awakening here, and then so below, I'm awakening, the entire culture is awakening on Earth, right? And it too is going through its chakras. And it's already gone through the root, and it's gone through the sacral, and now it's moving into the solar plexus. And what that means is we're being forced to take a hard look at life as we start to balance the solar plexus. And balancing this chakra is all about getting in touch with personal willpower, because we've moved past the sense of I am, and I'm this being that's separate from culture. Now what do I do with it? How do I take action steps towards that, right? So that is what the solar plexus is all about. It's about gathering that willpower. Now, part of gathering that willpower is we have to take from the dream. We have to take away from the dream. So as it balances out, there are these veils in front of our eyes that we've just presumed reality to be, and now they're falling. They're beginning to crumble, right? Because we're breaking down internally personal boundaries. We're breaking down all of these personal boundaries for ourselves. So subsequently, in the mirror of the dream, there has to be this breaking down of boundaries. So that includes all the things that we think are holding us, these foundational elements that we think hold us as a person, like government, religion, education, history, science, all the sciences, even mathematics, right? These are these foundational elements that we feel like, oh, okay, through the lenses of these things, I know who and what I am. Now, what happens when the solar plexus says, no, we're going to tear all that down. Now, who are you? And that's what this whole trek is about. Who are you? Who are you? How many things have you identified with that you think are you, or that you think hold you up, but really don't do anything like that? They're actually holding you down, is what they're holding you. So, as we move through the solar plexus, our world is starting to crumble, and the veils are dropping. And part of this awakening is you begin to see all of the falsehoods and all the lies and all of the things about culture and the world that you think were so foundational, so secure, that completely gave you that sense of self. You know, it's interesting that the word government means to control the mind. If you break down the Latin elements of that word, the etymology of that word, it turns into mind control. It's to control the mind is what government means. And similarly with the word religion in Latin means to tie and hold back, is literally what it translates to. So to tie and hold back as one would with wheat. So you bind wheat to hold it back, right? Or you bind back a group of people and hold them back from the truth. We can see that our education systems have been completely infiltrated, right? That's becoming very, very clear. For the first time, parents are waking up and kind of going, what the hell is the government teaching my child, right? Very scary. We're starting to realize that a lot of our history is fabricated. And if you're into conspiracies, there's a lot of interest in the hidden histories, all the things we don't really know about, hidden truths about Tartaria, and going back even before that into the Dark Ages, what really happened there. There's a lot of missing years, missing decades, missing hundreds of years. There's a lot of mystery there, right, when we look. Now, of course, in the dream, all of history is being created from the here and now in the dream. So we're weaving that mystery into all of these components of the dream wherever we look. So as we unfold the solar plexus within us, the veils are dropping out here, and we're weaving together a new story of our identity, realizing that the things that were holding us are falsehoods, and were never really there to support us from the very beginning, but mind control itself. So why is the adversary doing this? What is this about? What is this control about? And like I said, it's to bring us back to complete tyranny. We are moving culturally from an oligarchy that is dressed up as a corporatocracy. So essentially, kings and queens and lords and nobles, the day of the feudalism is where we really are, but it's been disguised as corporatism. So, and then that corporatism has been disguised as a democracy. So we're not in a democracy at all. We're in a republic. And that republic is not necessarily a republic because it's controlled by corporations. So we say it's a corporatocracy. But behind the corporatocracy, which is a facade of what governments are doing is an oligarchy, which means it hasn't really changed since Rome, right? Nothing's changed. We're still being ruled by elites, and there are the people who are the peasants and being ruled, and they're ruled because they're kept away from something that is very, very valuable, and it's not gold. They're kept away from the information. Information and wisdom is what separated the peasants from the nobles in the feudal times. And in the same thing, that's going to happen again. We're going through this cycle of it. And you say, well, how is that possible? We have the internet. We've never had more information at our fingertips than ever. Now, anybody in the world, doesn't matter where you live, can get a full education and learn everything. And that is because right now we are at this very, very weird sweet spot. A great analogy for the sweet spot would be for anybody out there who's old enough to remember Blockbuster Video, right? There was this short moment in history where people rented videotapes. They rented movies on videotapes like they would at a library, and they paid $3 and they would bring it back after a couple of days, right? Who remembers Blockbuster, right? Give me a thumbs up if you like Blockbuster. But it crumbled away, and the reason it did is because the technology moved past that very fast. So this information age that we're in right now, we're going to move past this at an alarming rate. And what I think is happening with the Mandela effect and with all of these other aspects of Mkultra is, instead of restricting us from the information, they can just flood us with information to the point that we don't know what's real anymore. We don't even know if the earth is round or flat anymore. Can you see what's happened? And we fight over it. They flooded the internet with so much alternative information that appears to be credible. We've lost our sense of what foundation we have. We no longer trust our governments. We no longer trust our scientific institutions. We no longer trust our educational systems, right? The veils are dropping because the solar plexus is dropping as we move into the heart. Now that's some scary stuff, isn't it? Pretty scary to think about. Really scary. So isn't it interesting that they've given us the Game of Thrones, right? These are like the hot things on TV and all these movies about this. This is because this is where they're taking us. This is going to be the new feudalism, the future feudalism. You will own nothing and be happy. You will eat the bugs, as they say, right? Now, maybe this is an inevitability. Maybe it won't be. Maybe there's a lot of different things that can happen with this dream. And I suspect that if we continue to work on ourselves and continue to wake up, that we'll move through this temporary pattern of future feudalism very, very quickly and into perhaps a golden age with AI. I don't think that golden age is going to happen without a little rough spot, though. That probably will happen. Because that's just the nature of realization, isn't it? When we go through this spiritual realization and personally, as we start to wake up, I think anybody who's on this path will go through the love and light stage where everything is love and light, and we do this kind of spiritual bypassing of all the hard stuff. And then we start to see signs that are crazy and are impossible, so we start to really believe in the divine mind kind of reality. And then we go all in on a dream, and then often what happens is spirit lets us down, right? It's not spirit letting us down, it's you letting you down. It's you not being completely committed, or really ready, I should say. But this is a very, very normal pattern. That pattern has been written about several times by very, very famous people who are awakened. Joseph Campbell writes about it. He calls it the great humbling. It's the humbling that happens to you after you have a spiritual awakening. There's this humbling where you think that the spirit is going to carry you through this dream, and then spirit kind of spanks you pretty hard with the dream. And the purpose of that is for you to really realize what your dreams are, what your dreams need to be, and try to separate what your true dreams are and what dreams you have based on what culture tells you your dreams should be. And that's to recognize the biggest psyop of them all. The biggest psyop is culture. In the words of Terence McKenna, culture is not your friend. Because when we submit to culture, we're killing off and we're conforming a piece of our own diversity, our own individuality. We conform to culture. So we're killing a piece of ourselves in order to be accepted into culture. And everything we do and think and feel and say are what culture tells us to think and feel and say. And all of culture is controlled by the adversary. All of it. Believe me, I will tell you for sure. I could tell you it is all BS. All of it. All the music shows, all the movie shows, all the award shows, movies, film, television, music, sports, all of it. All of it is designed to make you feel a certain way. It's here to distract you from the most important thing that you need to be focused on, which is to realize who and what you are and realize the power that you have. The power is in disengagement. The power is in renunciation. Renounce. Don't be a part of it. There's no reason to be a part of it. That's what waking up is. You say, I matter. My individuation is what's important. The self-respect, the self-love is what's important. And through that self-respect and through that love, fullness of love of the self, it spills over. Because you're complete and you're completely full of the Holy Spirit. And all you want to do is spread that joy and love to everybody else and lift them up. It's the only thing that gets you higher at that point, because you already feel very, very high. And in order to get higher, you just want to spread the joy, spread the love. Right? So, all of this really, I want you to kind of see that all of it is about controlling the mind. All of it. And a lot of it is magic rituals, occult magic. So I'm only teaching you how to get to the door. But if you pursue these studies, you'll realize that magic is very, very real. Magic comes at a price, but magic is real, and magic is being used on you and me all the time. All the time. And you're participating in magic rituals and you don't even know it. Don't think for a second that the Super Bowl halftime show is not a magic ritual. It 100% is. And it harvests your energy. It harvests the energy of every person watching it. Every observer's energy is contributing to the effectiveness of this spell. And the spell is pretty much to just create more mind control. And you say, well, who's they? Who's they? Who's they? It's not the deep state. The deep state is another layer of mind control. It's not the 13 families, another layer of mind control. It's not aliens, another layer of mind control. Demons, perhaps. The adversary, for sure. Because that's what the adversary does. That's the adversary's job. Keep in mind, this is a game. The dream is a game. If you want to play the game, you have to realize where you are when you play the game. And you have to learn how to balance your power. What did Jesus say? He says, I'm in the world, but not of the world. You have to be in the world, but not of the world. Which means play in the world, but realize who you are and where you come from. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Caesar being the state. That's the modern state, is the Caesar. We have to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. If you're going to play the game, you have to give over to Caesar what is Caesar's. But realize who you are all the time. Realize that the power is in the observer looking through the eyes. And the observer doesn't have to do shit. You can do whatever you want. It's a playground. You can do anything you want. And you don't have to participate in anything because culture tells you. You just say, no, it's not my frequency. But there needs to be also a forgiveness in it too. It's to realize that this push and pull from the adversary to the observer, to the divine spirit, to God, let's just say. So there's this war, and that's, people call it the war in heaven. But really think about it as a yin-yang. These are the fundamental energies. It's to realize that consciousness itself is what's fundamental. The mind is what's fundamental. And what we experience is the dream. And the dream is created by this pushing and pulling of these two forces. One is negative and one is positive. One is the adversary as an archetype, and one is, we could say, God as an archetype. It is the personification of these two forces. Pushing and pulling. And this pushing and pulling is what's creating the dream. But gnosis is to realize that the dream is here, pushing and pulling, but I take a step back from that. I'm in here playing in the dream, but I'm at all the times taking a step back, not necessarily fully engaged, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So, consciousness is fundamental. And there's all these conspiracies about aliens and Anunnaki and reptilians, right? We can get into all that. The reptilians are controlling the earth, right? Well, if consciousness is fundamental and everything is the mind, what is the root of the mind? The root of the mind is the brainstem. It's the reptilian center of the mind, right? We all have this. Every one of us has a reptilian center of the mind that really directs the show for us. We haven't evolved past that. Evolution evolves. We've evolved past the reptilian mind, but what evolution does is it transcends and includes, as Ken Wilber says. Ken Wilber is a very famous philosopher. Everything transcends but includes. So we've consciously transcended the reptilian mind, but we've included it into our psyche. So the reptilian mind in us is the most primitive form of the mind. It's at the very base of the brainstem, and really it just asks a couple of questions. Every encounter it comes in contact with is, should I eat it? Should I kill it? Should I mate with it? Or should I run from it? That's basically it. It reduces everything down to those questions, which is a very, very limited perspective of the world, is it not? And the reptilian mind center is ruled by fear, because fear is what kept it alive. If a creature was fearful, it survived to go on, right? So the reptilian mind center played a very fundamental role in the evolution of the mind. But what's happening now with this awareness of consciousness, and as we wake up, we're realizing that mind center no longer serves us, or still serves us, but not necessarily in the way that it's serving us now. It has to be kind of tamed a bit, as we like to say. Yes, almost like a firewall. Yes, I would say you're totally right about that. The amygdalas are ruling the world, right? They are. It's the amygdala personification of the amygdala is what we would call reptilians, right? In the dream, because it has to appear in the dream as something, right? So it metaphorically appears in the dream as reptilians. Isn't this fun? Isn't this a fun conversation to think about? We can go into the depths of the dream and just be like, wow, the dream is really, really something. The game is really intense. But never forget that you're the one playing the game. You're the one with the controller, the game controller, and the game is on the screen, and your avatar is in it, and you're getting attached to it. It's like, oh my gosh, no, don't let that happen. Oh. But if you can remain separate from it, you can have a lot more fun in this game. A lot more fun. So what's interesting about this whole conversation is that what I want you to see is that all of this mind control that we're being exposed to now is the prison. It's a very, very deep part of the prison. So the first layer of prison is the disidentification with culture, and that includes all the aspects of what human life is, right? The disidentification with governments and religions, and really redefining who you are without their influence, and realizing who you are independent of their influence. But in that, you'll see that all of the propaganda, all of the things that we think are real, all of the things we've been taught, those are the bars of the prison. Those are all the bars locking us in. And you've got to take off these layers that are preventing you. These are the veils preventing you from seeing that it's all fake. It's all just a dream, right? Now, many times on this show, I've stripped away the self, right? We've stripped away who we are. We've realized that I'm not my name. I'm not what culture tells me I am. I'm not even this body. And if I'm not the body, then what am I? Am I the organs of the body? Am I my heart? Am I the brain? Nope, we know that's not true. Am I the cells of the body? Well, if that's the case, which cell am I? Am I the atoms making up the body? If so, what atom? Because about 1 trillion atoms leave this body every day, and they're replaced by new ones every single day. Do you know that your body in 7 years is not the same body you were in 7 years prior to that? Actually, the majority of your body is replaced every 11 months. But the bones and stuff take a little bit longer. So every 7 years, your physical form is not the same form that it was 7 years prior. Every atom in your body has been replaced. So since you're not the atoms of the body, who are you? Who are you? And do you see how ineffable it is? That's just words. It's just labels. And that can be a very scary thought if you allow yourself to think about what that means. If you're not your body, then who are you? Your mind is still here. You still feel like you exist, so you exist. Rene Descartes, right? I think, therefore I am, right? You think, therefore you exist. But who are you, really? Who are you? So as we poke that, we can start to see the falsehoods in it. We can start to see the veils of even our own personal identity. He's really snoring. So I hope that's not getting on camera. But so the same thing, this dissolution, it's like an alchemical process, this dissolution of the self to realize that there's nothing here, that the nothingness itself is who you are. You're the eternal mind behind the mask that doesn't have a form. It's completely formless. It's just the witness. And what is it the witness to? It's the witness to this thing we call reality. It's the witness to the experience. But what happens is, in the same way that I broke down the self, you can break down every single thing in the world. It can be broken down the same way. And as you peel back the layers of every single thing you can think about, you start to see the non-validity in any of it. It's all a sham. It's all a put-up job. And that put-up job is controlled by the energy of the adversary. In this eternal war, this eternal struggle, all of it is happening for you. So you can have this experience. All of this. I want you to really take that in for a moment and realize that everything in the world is here for you. The good and the bad. All of it is for your experience. It's to identify who and what you are and create your own sense of being by disengaging from the things that were creating you up till now. Can you guys see it? Can you see the dream? Can you start to see the flimsiness of it all? If you're not into conspiracies and you're on this path, you should probably get into conspiracies. I should warn you that the bottom of that rabbit hole is pretty dark. And I don't play around in that dark stuff at all. I don't want to put on that negative energy. But it's interesting to start peeling back these layers and to see how absolutely flimsy the story of your life really is. And and to see how much power we give over to things that are just not real. So all of this to say, recognize that you're being played at all times, and I'm being played. As long as you're in the dream, you're being played. And it's okay, because being played is what life is. That's what the dream is. But when you can learn to disengage from it, when you can learn to not be attached to it as if it were real, but to watch it the way you watch a movie, you'll find that it loses its power over you. And the way that manifests in the world is everything just magically works itself out. So you engage when it feels good to engage. You engage when it feels compassionate to engage, because you're going to find that compassion is the highest form of power you can gain for yourself, right? It's not to do things out of selfishness, because you do it enough out of selfishness, you're going to realize the true euphoria that comes from compassion. But I promise you, get into compassion, because it's going to change your life in a huge way. And the more that you do that, there's this even exchange of energy that happens, and it gives you more power to pull away. So the more you devote towards service to others, the more you're empowered to disengage further from the dream. And it's like this feedback loop. The further you can get back from the dream, the less real it is, and the more power you have over it. So that's how you kind of want to have to work the dream a little bit. Just find the beauty in the moment, even when it's horrible. And that's a real trick in the beginning. That's a real trick. Find the beauty in the moment, even when it's horrible. And if you can laugh about it, you get bonus points, because laughter is going to bring your energy back up. And it's going to show the adversary that you're not a sucker. These things that I talk about sound impossible. They sound insane, and they are. They're very, very insane ideas. I assure you, I am completely certifiably crazy. But I'm extremely happy, and I want all of you who will hear this message to feel the joy that I feel in life, and feel the serenity I have in life, and the connection that I have to this higher sense of self, this higher spirit. Call it God, call it whatever you want. But it's beautiful and it's amazing. And not only has it changed my life for the better, for my personal experience, but it's made me want to be a better person. So, it surprises me sometimes when I get comments that I'm going to be burning in hell and all these terrible things that people say to me in the comments, because I'm teaching this message that shouldn't be taught to people. But how could I not teach something back to people that has improved my life in ways that I can hardly articulate? That has not only improved my life and in material ways, but improved my life internally and made me want to work on myself to be a better person, a more integral person, a more compassionate person. All those things are, to me, in my mind, are beautiful. And why would I not want to share that with as many people as I possibly can? So that's where I'm coming from in all this. But getting back to the conspiracies of it, if you get into the conspiracies of it, it'll blow your mind, because you'll start to see the flimsiness of the story. And if you can look at the flimsiness of the story through the lens of what I'm talking about, it won't be scary for you. If you look at it believing that the world is real, conspiracy rabbit holes will be terrifying. And then you'll become a prepper, and you'll become all these crazy things. And that's not a good place to be. You'll become a nihilist. And that's exactly what the adversary wants. So again, self-realization is to get to the top of a mountain, metaphorically, and see the other side. Because the other side holds the key to inner peace, which is outer peace. The other side of that mountain holds the key to everything you can imagine. And you're taking this trip up to the mountain, to the top of the mountain, to get this perspective of it, to get this perspective that you didn't have before. And through this perspective, it changes everything. It changes everything in really, really beautiful ways. And I want all of you to experience that. I want every single one of you to feel it, and you will. And then you'll start a podcast. And you'll be on here rambling off like an idiot. And people will be tuning in going, wow, how do you know all this? Because that's what happened to me. I didn't set out to do this. It just kind of happened. And it's fun. It's fun to sit here and have these conversations. It's fun. It's fun to share this with people. It's fun to meet all of you and see how that bright-eyed kind of wow factor that hits you as you start to learn all these things. It blows your mind. Blows your mind. So enjoy yourself in the dream. Dig into the rabbit hole, but don't get caught up in it. And use it as a tool. Use all of this as a tool to realize the truth about the reality that you live in. And realize the power that you really, really have. And also prepare yourself in this dream. This dream is about to change exponentially. It's already changing exponentially. This exponential curve has already been upon us for some time. And with AI, it is about to get really, really, really insane. Really, really insane. So like Blockbuster days, you've got this narrow window where you can dig in and find out all of this interesting information before it becomes too much and you won't be able to learn anything. So I encourage you to do that while you can, and to not freak out when things start to get really, really hectic. And it's going to get like that for a minute. It's going to get like that for a minute. It's going to be an adjustment to the dream, because the adversary is going to see that the dream that's currently running, the mind control that's currently running, isn't working on you anymore. So it has to switch it up into something new. And as long as you maintain your power, as long as you can take that step back behind the mask and know that you're eternal, to know that you live forever and that the dream eternally goes forever, then you don't fear anything. What's there to fear? Do you fear waking up in the morning after you have a dream last night? No, you're like, oh, all right, I'm ready to start my new day. I'm ready to start my new dream. Here we are, the new dream. This is the feeling I want for all of you. Waterboy says, question, what set the adversary and the other in motion? Oh, the observer in motion, though, and why? Because you can't reduce reality behind that. Because you can't have something without nothing. And you can't have nothing without something. It's like the yin-yang is like two sides of one coin, right? If you have a coin, it's going to have two sides. But this two sides of the coin is what creates everything. It's this push-pull. It's this magnetic charge, if you will. So if you want to think about it as a holographic universe, and I think holographic implies that it's a material thing on the outside, if you're not familiar with what holographic universe really stands for. But that's not what it means. It's really to define a magnetic universe, which is really a mental universe. So in a mental universe, those two, it cannot be reduced be anything below the yin-yang. As a matter of fact, Lao Tzu, who first presented the yin-yang over 5,000 years ago, he was the first person to draw it. He said that the symbol was much, much older than him, that it came to him through meditation. And he even said that this symbol cannot be reduced. It is the perfect representation to a mind reality. Shell says, what do you do when things get all a little bit overwhelming? Meditate. Just meditate. Just breathe. Let it be overwhelming. Let it overwhelm you. Like, just let the wave crash over you, and don't get caught up in it. Right? You're at the beach, and then you're playing in the waves, and then a big wave comes, right? You just kind of sit still, right? Just let it crash into you. If you can have presence of mind through it, try to surf it. Try to see the wave coming, and as the wave is kind of hitting you, find a way to just surf through it with minimal effort. And know that you'll get through it. It's not going to require you to take things on all the way. That's the trick of the adversary. The adversary creates this situation trying to get your response into it. But by not responding, it loses its energy. It's like the energy dissipates, and it will just resolve itself. Now, there are some waves that are going to knock you on your ass. It's just going to happen. But just get up again. Dust yourself off and go, all right, I'm still alive. I'm still alive here and kicking. Forever. Forever. Which sounds incredible and boring. Depends on which perspective you're looking at it from. Boring because from the eyes of the one, from the eyes of source, it's boring. It's forever. So what does God do? Dreams. Why does God dream? Because it's something to do. God dreams for the same reason we watch Netflix. Right? It's something to do. Something to do. Well, did you guys have fun? I had a lot of fun doing this. This was really awesome hanging out with you guys. Got an awesome crowd in here. So glad to see anybody. If there's any more questions, please hit me up with them. I'm so happy to answer. Holy crap. We got like 40 people in here. It's awesome. It's a nice big crowd. So glad to see you guys here. So awesome. Thank you very, very much. So what we're going to be doing on this channel, I've got Joel in here. He's helping me out with this. But I'm doing these live shows. They're only going to be up live for the people who get a chance to watch it live. And then I'm going to take it down, and then I'll edit it up. And this episode will be available again probably in a week or two. It'll be all edited down nice and sharp, and you'll be able to see it then. So that'll encourage people to watch live and see it for the first time, and then catch the edit. And hope that's working for everybody. And just keep in mind, be patient with me. I'm running 2 channels, so my attention's kind of pulled in 2 different directions, and they're both complete passions for me. Creating the music on Phi Tribe is my greatest passion, and then having this conversation with you is equally fun and amazing for me. So my time is split between that and my snoring dog. So be patient with me, and thanks for all of the support, and thank you for all the beautiful letters I've been sending and getting in comments. And a lot of you reached out to get the new book, so thank you very much for that. I really, really thank you. And yeah, awesome. This is a lot of fun. I love you guys very much. I will see you next Sunday night, and we'll do this again. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, please leave me a comment, because I can always use show ideas. So thank you very much. Awesome, guys. Appreciate you. Good night.